Pages 34 and 35. These are ledger line studies. On page 33, they explain ledger lines in the spaces. I would encourage you to memorize the notes at least 3 lines above or below a staff. If you get into intermediate or above, you're going to be using a lot of these ledger lines. I mean, you've been using one ledger line almost forever because middle C is on a line below the treble clef staff. That's a ledger line that thing sits on, that little line. Or for bass clef, it's above it, it's still middle C, so one ledger line above it. So for all of these, they go from pages 34, 35, 36, and 37. There are 8 lines. I'm going to do all 8 lines in this video, and I'll put the starting points down in the description. But it's all basically, they're real short, and they just kind of fit together. In the first line, we are in F major. You have one flat, and you're way up here. Remember, both stabs are in treble clef. You're way up here. So anyway, one flat. All the B's are going to be B flat. The left hand is simple. You're just doing 1 chords and 5/7 chords. Staccato, most of them. The right hand gets the work, and we're starting that first note. Hopefully you know how to figure these out. Just memorize 2 ledger lines above a treble clef is a C. Remember, you got middle C, and then we got another C, and now this is a C up there. Okay, that's it. That's like an anchor point. If you can know where 2 lines are, you can figure the other notes out pretty quick. I think you should go 3 lines out, but 2 lines at least, right? So you're starting out on a C. The last 2 measures, the notes, you have an A, you have that C again. Now you're 3 lines up, that's an E, and then the last note is an F. So let's go ahead and do this number 1 together. It's 3 or 4 times, so I'll give us 3 counts. So go ahead and put your left hand where it goes here, and the right hand is here with the 4th finger on that high C, and we're ready to go. One, ready, and go, and. Off. Line 2. This one is in, believe it or not, A minor. It says no sharps or flats. It's got accidentals. But look at the chords. You have an A chord, and then this chord, that's A minor, okay? And so the left hand, nothing really going on with the chords. It's the right hand that it gets the ledger lines here. Well, the left hand gets ledger lines too, but you can figure those out. In the first chord in the left hand, you have an A, and the middle C is 1 ledger line, and then 2 ledger lines up is an E. See, the ledger lines go every other note. However many up you go or down or whatever, it's no big deal. You can figure them out. So that first chord in the left hand is that A minor chord. Well, in the right hand, you're 3 ledger lines up. Well, you know 2 ledger lines is that C. Just go 1 more up, you're here. Remember, the lines are every other note, because there's a space in between, and that's what that note would be. So your first note in the right hand is an E. So put your left hand, or your little finger on that, and you're fine. Now, they give a fingering here. They have a, for the C, they have a 3, and then they have a 4 in parentheses, alternate. I would strongly encourage you to use the 4, because these notes, the E, the C, the A, and the next measure, that's your A minor chord again, and that's the fingering you use for it. So I would please use the 4th finger on that C here. You get the same thing in the second line, first measure. They don't give you the 4 in parentheses, but go ahead and put a 4th finger on that C. Let's try this out. 3 or 4 times, I'll give us 3 counts. Now this does have pedal, an overlapping pedal, so just do overlapping pedal. Except between the phrases, and the phrases are between the lines, so a little break between the phrases. Alright, so the left hand is here, right hand is here, foot's on the pedal. 1, ready, go. 2, 3. 2, off. Line 3 at the top of page 35. Now we're doing ledger lines below the treble staff. And again, these work, the one ledger line is middle C, you've known that forever. Next ledger line is 2 notes down, that would be an A. 3 ledger lines for the last note there in the piece, that's down here, that's an F. Just do your best to memorize those as quickly as you can. This piece is an F major, it's got 1 flat, so that all the B's are going to be B flat. I want to point out the last 2 measures of this line, the right hand is tied, so you're going to play the F once and hold it down for both measures. The left hand is not tied, so you're going to play each of those F's. You go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, so you play it while the right hand stays down. Other than that, there's really nothing to point out. Let's just play it together. It's in 3/4 time. I'll give us 3 counts. So the right hand is here, left hand's here. It's going to get a little awkward. The hands are close, but that happens sometimes. 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, rest. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, rest. Line 4, we get more ledger lines below the staffs, both staffs actually. So the right hand is, you're playing the G, second measure it's an F, right? And the left hand, 2 ledger lines below is a C again. Remember, 2 ledger lines above a treble clef is a C. Well, 2 ledger lines below a bass clef is a C. Cool, huh? Okay. And so that's what you have in the left hand. In the second measure there in the right hand, you have the legato 8th notes followed by a staccato, and it's all slurred. So you're going to connect the 3 notes, but you're going to play a staccato on that last one. The trick is, try and do it without accenting the staccato. It takes a little practice. Let's try this line 4 together. It's in C major, no sharps or flats. 4/4 time, I'll give us 4 counts. Staccato, for the most part. The right hand gets a little bit of legato, but not much. Right hand, left hand, okay. 1, 2, ready, go. Line 5 at the top of page 36. Now we're dealing with ledger lines above the bass clef. Well, you already know what one ledger line is above the bass clef. It's middle C. We've been using it forever. So again, each line is 2 notes above. So if 1 line is here, 2 lines is E, 3 lines would be the G. And I recommend, again, try and memorize up to at least 3 lines as quickly as you can. Just know, if you see a 3 line, you see the last note in the second measure in the left hand, that's a G. You just know it's a G. Okay. That's really all this one is, so let's try out line 5 together. 3/4 time, C major, no sharps or flats, we're fine. Right hand goes here, just doing chords. Left hand here, third finger on the E. Here we go. 1, ready, go. Off. Line 6. Again, line 6 is reading ledger lines above the bass clef. Not a big deal. It's very similar to line 5. It's just same notes, just different patterns or whatever. So let's try it out. Now keep in mind, the left hand is the melody here. You're bringing out the left hand, all right? The right hand on this one, for the most part, are staccatos. You can use a wrist or you can use an arm, whatever. Just keep it light. Give us 4 counts because this is in common time. So the right hand is here, left hand is here. All right. 1, 2, ready, go. Line 7, we are reading ledger lines below the bass clef. And again, I already pointed out 2 ledger lines below is a C. So 3 ledger lines would be an A. That's as low as we're going here. Okay, shouldn't be a problem. This is in F major. We do have 1 flat, a B flat. Left hand has the melody again. Notice both staves are in bass clef, so the right hand is down here to play these chords. There's a little bit of awkward fingering going on in the left hand here, I want to point out. You're starting out down here on F. The first full measure, you have an E and a D. Then you bring the thumb under for the C. And then a B flat, A, B flat, C. Okay. In the last 2 measures of the first line, you're starting out with a G, then the C. Now, in that last measure, notice that they want the thumb on the F, the last note. So to accommodate that, I suggest you use index finger on the C. And then you can put the thumb on the F. Try and learn to do it without looking at the keyboard. It gets a little tricky anyway when you're just trying to do it, but when you get to the extremes, it gets even more trickier, sort of. So it takes a little bit of practice. You have to look at first, but try and get to where you can do it without looking eventually, you know. Also, try and be as exact as you can. Those chords in the right hand are dotted half notes, most of them, all of them. Only hold them down for 3 counts. So we get a 1 beat rest in the right hand at the end of pretty much every measure. Well, let's try this out. It has a pickup note, so I'm just going to give us 3 counts. Right hand is here, left hand is here. 1, ready, go. Rest. Rest. 2, 3, off. Line 8 at the bottom of page 37. Again, more ledger lines below the bass clef. Not really a problem, I don't think. The only trickiness I can think of in the left hand would be the last 3 measures of the piece in the second line there. You're in this position. But then in the next to the last measure, you want your thumb on that C. And then B flat, G, F. 4 ledger lines down, you can figure it out. 2 is a C, 3 would be 2 note, 3 would be an A, so 4 would be an F. You had a 5th one, it would be a D. 6th would be a B. No point in a 7 because the piano, the regular 88 key piano doesn't go that low. When you get that many, you pretty much have to count them out and figure them out because you get lost of how many ledger lines is this. But generally you can picture 3. You don't have to sit and count them. You can glance at it and see 3. It's when it gets more than 3 it gets tricky. And that's where you have to stop and figure out what it is. Now, I do that a lot. Let's do line 8 together. This is an F major, so all the B's are going to be flatted. Again, the chords in the right hand, we need to hear the quarter rest. So be exact as you're playing those. I see a couple of those chords are staccato also, so you want to do staccato when it's time. I'm going to ignore the retard as I usually do when I play with a metronome. So let's try this out. The right hand is here. It's back in treble clef. Left hand's down here. Okay, 3 counts. 1, ready, go.